Banco Beverage. Proudly serving the Lehigh Valley for over 80 years. It's 80 years. Say it with me. 80 years. It's a long time. Over 30 plus breweries distributed, including Miller, Yuengling, Pabst, Guinness, Heineken, plus a generous variety of imported and specialty brands. They are located at Crackersport Road in Allentown, PA. Can't get any more local than that, Lehigh Valley. Banco Beverage is locally owned, operated since 1933. They have an exceptional team of staff dedicated to making their customers happy. If you're interested in having Banco be your purveyor for whatever bar or establishment you own, you can go to www.bancobeverage.com. I have the information in the ads as well, and I want to thank Banco for coming on and being a sponsor. Myself and Tony are working on some projects, and we are going to be bringing some really cool content, as well as Banco is going to be providing for a lot of the things that we do event-wise. So thank you, Banco, again. Thank you, Tony, and check out Banco Beverage. Giacomo's Italian Market. What an awesome relationship that has blossomed between Never Again Studio and Giacomo's Italian Market. We've been working with them with Studio Kitchen. We've been doing their Italian sausage and going to pop-ups with them. I love Sal. I love all the guys over there. It's always awesome collaborating. And you should go check them out. They got specialty Italian items. They're famous for the cheesesteak, the sausage. I can't even list everything because everything over there on that menu is fantastic. It's a home run. They are in Easton, PA, 700 Cattell Street. That's 700 Cattell Street in Easton, PA. They are over by College Hill. It's a dope area to check out. You need to go there. They got plenty of inside seating. They got all kinds of specialty Italian things off to the side, of pasta, vodka sauce. I usually just go there because I'm not making it as good as Sal. So I pick up my vodka sauce and, I say, what's up? We got some oils and all kinds of different things. But I can't say nothing but positive things over at Giacomo's. If you know them, you know them. If you don't know them, you're crazy and you need to get over there. That's 700 Cattell Street in Easton. That's Giacomo's Italian Market. Tell Sal what's up. The Curious Plantaholic, located in Nazareth and Clinton, New Jersey. The Nazareth location was opened first, and I met Jenny. We immediately hit it off. I knew we would start working on projects. She is the energy and the breath of fresh air that Nazareth needs. I started buying plants off of her, went down a rabbit hole. Now I got a bunch of plants I got to take care of. I'm trying my hardest. People are helping me. What an awesome shop for plants, retail. The energy in there is amazing. The employees in there are amazing. It's a plant and supply store focused on connecting with local communities, and boy, do they do a fantastic job at that. I can't say enough about these guys. You need to go to their locations and check them out, but they also have plants for sale online. It's thecuriousplantaholic.com, and right now they have two locations, which is Nazareth, and the other one is Clinton, New Jersey. Please check them out, and you can get more information at curiousplantaholic.com. I'm going to be working with Jenny on some other projects as well, so you will see us kind of creating a vibe and some things going on in Nazareth. We're really going to help kind of revitalize and get some things going on in Nazareth. So if you want to, please check out the Curious Plantaholics in Nazareth. Support local, support us. They support the podcast. Thank you so much for coming on as a sponsor. Ready?
What up, Never Again Radio? It's Big Uncle Zach in your ear hole. Zach's Corner Podcast. We're down here.
I don't even know how to do this anymore.
All of the above. But we're over here. We got some old fashions. Cheers, yeah. Mike. We got some big things going on, and we wanted to jump on, do the podcast. We've been trying to make it happen, but things kept happening. Ended up getting sick. Finally caught one of these lab viruses hit different. So.
Yeah, that China white lung.
Hits different. So family got sick and everything, but we're back at it. And, I got a lot of things. I got like a headache and stuff, but I feel like I just kind of trudged through it because I got a lot of things going on. And I'm just, really blessed and super excited about all this stuff going down. So, it's definitely nice to have a little drinky poo.
Well, proper 12.
These, honestly, we were just talking about old fashions. Like, that's obviously the now the 40, and up drink. Like people are definitely getting.
I got into them over
old-fashioned.
the summer.
Yeah.
They're fantastic. A friend of mine got into Manhattans, and I was like, Manhattans? And then you get into Manhattans, and if you're into Manhattans for a night, like when we went on the Cali trip, we were whacking, like going to good spots. And I remember the one spot we were at, we were like, we didn't realize how drunk we were, but everyone around us did. Like we were like walking around and looking at views, and I said to my buddy, I'm like, yo, there's like people eating. And then he looked at me and he's like, these are gonna kill us.
Yeah, old fashions hit different, dude.
Yeah, old fashioned.
Yeah.
It's all booze.
Hey,
It's
if I
just
press
booze.
this, does it go to you?
No, I set it up so it didn't. I didn't know if you want to run the switcher.
I don't
I just
care.
have to open that if you want to run the switcher.
Yeah. Let me hit the switcher, dude. Let's hit. Let me
you
hit.
can talk. I'll set it up.
Yeah, let's hit some switches. I don't mind doing. I'm trying to learn some stuff, do some podcasting. Yeah, I mean, dude, Mike's obviously really busy. We'll talk about what he's up to. But I'm gonna be. If you haven't been following me on the gram, I got another martial arts dojo that I'm gonna be running called Finishers North, and it is in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. 64 North 3rd Street, Stroudsburg, PA. I don't know the zip code, but we're moving up into the mountains. That's everybody's dream, is to start getting closer to the mountains. Stroudsburg is definitely a hop, skip, and a jump away from the Pocono Mountains, and it's right next to East Stroudsburg University, which is pretty dope. We've been doing a lot of work. I don't know, Mike, I'm sure you've seen some classes and stuff of ours, but we've been doing a lot of work with the college students. And it's been crazy. Like the Lehigh students, I think there's like 75 students in the club. And then we have a whole bunch of kids signed up at the gym too, which is awesome. So we have like such a young crew of talented guys now training at the gym. Not just talented, but like in jiu-jitsu. What I mean is they're also talented in like all these other things that they're going. These kids are like going to a really good college. So it's not like we're getting just, kids from random, schools like, that are not good. We're getting like Lehigh students. Like these kids are smart is what I'm trying to say. And we have one of my alma maters, everybody's alma mater in this area, Northampton Community College. So we're still repping there. We got a bunch of guys tonight. Andrew said a kid saw the flyer that we have at NAC. So we're over there doing our guerrilla marketing, which is something I always talk about too, just dropping off flyers and everything like that. So yeah, we got Bethlehem's blowing up with college students. Finishers North is right next to a college, so I definitely plan to exploit that. I already got like over 20 people signed up at the gym. And this Sunday, March 3rd, is going to be our grand opening. And we have a free seminar. Me, Quinn, Ricky Pena, Finishers Reading, 10th Planet Reading, that's going to be opening. That's another one. So shout out to those guys, Ricky and Taco and the whole crew over there. Mason, everybody, Eli, that I can't wait to see them. Their place looks sick, by the way, all matted out, Fuji style. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, for the guys, for people who are Mike's fans that have to listen to me just rant about random stuff that they don't know, but I got to get my promos out. I got to get my plugs out, but it's exciting because like, we're opening up businesses, which is really cool. I mean, I'm not trying to like just toot our own horn, but it's fun. And, it's like you're creating your own, everything, so, now you have it set up.
Yeah.
What do I have to do? I have to hit
Hit
things?
camera 1.
This one right here. Boom.
Ow, doggy. What's up? Yeah, the switcher.
Yeah, the switcher is pretty dope. So yeah, I don't know. We got a ton of stuff coming up, and I'm really excited about it, obviously. And I want to, I wanted to do the podcast, obviously, always to promote stuff. Just talk to the people, and these are things that me and Mike have been talking about for a long time. We've been
Yeah.
talking about opening
Years.
up businesses, and I started Finishers MMA like years ago. I got involved in the martial arts business, and then I always wanted to have multiple schools, and then got other guys like students of mine and friends of mine have always opened up schools, and I was like, you know what, I want another one. Why not? Like Bethlehem's killing it. Let's open up another school. Let's jam another one down our throats, and that's kind of what I'm doing up there. And it's like in between my house and the Bethlehem School. So like I could go from my house to Finishers North in Stroudsburg in like 15, 18 minutes. And I could go from my house to Bethlehem in like, 20, 25 minutes. So it's like a good median. And I'm not leaving Bethlehem either. Like for anyone who thinks that, I'm still going to be running classes there Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then some Fridays I switch with Quinn. Some other classes Renee teaches when he's around. He's actually in Brazil right now. Shout out to Jesus. I'm out there competing in the ADCC Brazil trial. So see what I'm talking about, man? I could just keep going. People are like, I tuned in to listen to Mike, and this guy's just talking shit. But I'm just pumped up. So I'm just gonna be shouting out everybody and just giving all my plugs and stuff. But yeah, I'm just excited. It's just the reason. One of the main reasons why I'm excited too is because it's just things we've been talking about for years. And a lot of times people talk about things, I feel, but then it's tough to follow through on them. It's tough to take that next step and like really be like, okay, I'm going to take a leap of faith here and believe in what I've been doing for a long time and really trust the process and put the work in and just do everything I possibly can to try to make this succeed. And if it still doesn't, then it wasn't meant to be. But I feel like that's it. Like, I don't know if that's like a thing that people go through, but like when I set forth to finally do something and then I pull the trigger on it, I put maximum effort into it because really that's the only thing that I can control is the amount of effort that I put into said thing. So like I just heard someone talking about that too, and obviously I'm stealing it from someone. It's nothing new, but and then you kind of just let the chips fall where they may, but I have to put in maximum effort. It's like for guys too that are doing fights and like the way it turns over to martial arts or jiu-jitsu and especially MMA or kickboxing is like, okay, I sign up for the fight now, like, let's just go off technique and everything like that. It's like, well, what if I just put in as much effort as humanly possible, running, hitting the bag, doing the strength conditioning, training in classes, listening to the coaches. I do everything I can, the amount of effort 1,000% that I can do, and then at the end of that, whatever happens, then you can't control. But if you didn't put 100% effort in, then when you quit, you have to look back and say, oh man, like it didn't work out, I didn't even try, so that's kind of the thing. But taking the next step is like, now it's like becomes real, and then all of a sudden now you gotta make a move on it. I mean, how are you feeling about it, Mike? I mean, it's a big investment, obviously.
Yeah. I'm scared shitless. It's been tough because the original plan was to move and it was to take the studio. And then now that I'm not taking the studio, I had to separate from this. But then when I separated from this, like you were saying, like putting all that effort into it, I'm like streamlining singular focus now instead of being, it's almost like what do they call it, a yard sale when like the guys racing dirt track flip their fucking cars and all the parts go everywhere. I feel like that's how I was operating for a long time, and then now with doing this, I'm like really focused on getting open and like getting this going, and it's obviously a monetary change and it's going to change the structure of everything I'm doing, but I can take everything I learned the entire time I've been doing this, and now I'm just thinking differently, where I'm like, oh, I don't need the studio in order to do the podcast and have content. I can put lapel mics on and we could make a studio out of the restaurant, and then like all the different things that I did here that we involved food, now we have a place where I can serve food, and there's a winery attached to the back of it. So essentially there's a venue now, and it's like, all right, well now I have a license and I can make real money, and all my content is now going to essentially put asses in seats. It's going to sell food, and then I can also come back around with the podcast and put it into its own form. And like, it's hard to explain. Yeah. It really is. But like, the more I'm focused on just getting the restaurant open and it being a legitimate thing, and like, it's real money coming in, not having to explain to people like what I'm doing here and like how advertising works, or like getting people to buy t-shirts. It's like, I can sell food, which is essentially going to fund this. So it's almost like I'm reverse engineering the entire idea of this with an actual business in front of it. But like I said, we've been talking about when I first started this, you guys were podcasting. We knew Dan, and we've been talking about like, okay, well, how is this really going to work? And it's something that's very hard to work. Even how you talk about like the school and getting students and all that, like it's so much planning to get real money because this is what we're doing for a living, and you have to pay a mortgage and feed your child. And like, you know, I'm looking to get an apartment now, and I'm like, oh man, this is very different than being down here and being like, oh, well, we can just break even. So like, it's almost like you build something up and then you have to break it down, rethink it, and then you've done it enough where you can make less mistakes, and then you just move forward, but you have to have the balls and go all in to do it, or else you're fucked.
Yeah.
Like, it's very
Yeah.
it's really weird. It's why people say don't work for yourself, but I did that at other people's businesses. Like,
Right.
hey, why doesn't this work? Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure when you're doing construction, you're like, well, why the fuck are we doing it this way?
Yeah.
This is so wrong.
Exactly. And you know, for you now, you're going to be building up your own brand and your own business, and you did so much work to build up other people's brands and other people's businesses.
Yeah, the entire time,
Yeah.
all I did was put people up. I
Yeah.
never really this whole thing was never really about me. It was me trying to get other people money, other people views. And then, like, you know, it just got to a point where I'm like, all right, well, this isn't working from a monetary like, somebody was like asking me, they're like, oh, you're going to stop doing that? And I'm like, well, were you ever in a were you ever in a band that wasn't working? Like, what are you going to do? Just continue to stay in that band? I'm like, cool, I'm going to go over here and do this. And then I'm going to bring this element back in. But like, I was talking to my mom. I'm like, I'm so glad I'm not doing this again this year.
Yeah.
It would have been the same results.
Yeah.
It would have been the same shit over and over again. Me trying to find somebody and be like, hey, look, this is what my value is worth. You're really getting twice as much as that. I need you to sign up for a year. And then if they don't see anything because it's long-term investment, they're like, hey, I can't sponsor anymore. And I just kept getting back to square one, to square one.
Yeah, I feel like now you're really working towards your own thing, which is
Yeah,
good.
for the first time ever.
But a lot of people, especially, I mean, it's huge in the martial arts, jiu-jitsu, MMA business that I feel like guys don't want to put, like they're doing good and they just don't want to put that other, like, all right, let me invest everything, because then if it doesn't work out, I look stupid or whatever. And businesses like that are all the time. Like, and I'm not some business guru. I do feel like I really know how our school works and how that kind of business works. But I mean, I feel like a lot of people just don't want to, they're like afraid to take that next step and really sell into it. Like, how many people did you talk to, businesses, did you get them all set up with content and stuff like that, and then they just straight up didn't use it?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
a lot of them didn't understand what I'm doing. Whether it was they didn't understand what I was doing, so they didn't want to. They couldn't see what I was doing. A lot of people came on. I mean, when you also have to realize is when we started podcasting, no one else was podcasting.
Yeah, it was a
while
ago.
When I was bringing people on, I would explain. They would say, "What's a podcast?" Like, that's crazy to think that now. It was over 10 years ago. So like, I would bring people on and they would be like, yeah, cool. Thanks. And then there were people who I would invite to collab and they wouldn't accept the collab because they didn't know. Like, I even the last girl I did, the bar one, like, everybody's so, I didn't do good. No one leaves here and is like, that was awesome. They're all like, what did I say? Like, I don't remember that, but I'm so used to doing it where I could tell, you know, there's been 3 podcasts I didn't air, maybe. 2 of them I think were because we were drunk and one was because the guests were drunk. But like, other than that, like, I know going out of it, or like, I know this isn't a waste of our time because we both know what we're doing.
Yeah.
But when you have somebody in who's never been interviewed before, you know, they're like, hey, can we edit this? Can we take that out? You know, I don't, you know, and then the end result always is after they watch it is, oh, that was awesome. Thank you for doing that. And I'm like, yeah, well, that's what I do. But then at the same time, you have to share it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
My audience isn't that big. Well, I can't even say that. A photographer came into Giacomo's today and I had him on the podcast and he's like, you know, somebody stopped me and asked me some questions and was like, you know, was asking me all this stuff. And the guy was like, how the fuck do you know any of this about me? And they're like, well, you did that interview on the internet. So it's like, it does go out there. And I think I play it down because I don't know. I mean, I do know, but like, I never did it because I thought we had a reach, you know, but I look back on it and I'm like, we were, when I got choked out by Mickey Gall, it was all over every MMA. It was on,
Yeah, I remember that.
It was on BJ Patton at the time was a radio host think it's that much anymore. But Barstool covered it.
Yeah.
Because I was pissed because they said fat radio host gets choked out on air, and then the Jason Ellis show picked it up. Like that
Oh,
was a
yeah,
big
nice.
that made a lot of noise, and we weren't even set up correctly.
Yeah.
The YouTube, like it's on YouTube now and it has heavy views, but it's on like 3 different things. Then the Tiger King stuff.
Yep.
Like we didn't set out to do that. We had to pay bills during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Like so
I've always thought to just put out more stuff. Like,
we've always been like-minded in that
I just got to
sense.
keep putting stuff out.
And we were figuring it out the whole time.
Yeah, and even with this, like, I mean, it's not like I'm some podcast master or anything like that. I'm definitely not at all. When I leave, I'm always like, oh man, I shouldn't have said that, or I shouldn't have cursed, or whatever. I want to try.
I think the only time we didn't do that was during Now We Go.
What?
When we would be like, hey, we shouldn't have said that.
Well, I mean, those were different times.
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
honestly, I had, when I think back about that too, I honestly had no idea what was going to happen. Like, they literally closed our businesses
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah.
Well, I mean, we closed, but I mean, they really wanted. I mean, that was crazy, dude.
How about
Like,
the
I
people
didn't
who
know
were
how
like
long
publicly fighting it, like that gym owner from Jersey, and like,
Yeah.
like whatever happened to that guy?
I don't know, man. They acted like they were just talking about. Guys were just talking about in the one podcast, Jiu-Jitsu Dummies, where my buddy Gabe was on.
I saw that.
He was talking about how the one guy kept getting arrested for opening up the gym,
Yeah.
but the cops were like mad about it because he kept putting it out there. He kept saying like, "I'm opening up my gym. I don't care what anyone
Yeah,
says.
yeah.
Like,
Doing
come down to the
interview-
gym, do whatever
doing
you want."
interviews with 69 News.
Exactly. And then they're like, "Come on, man! Like, you can't be doing that." And then now, he got arrested. But I mean, dude, I would take all that to court. But it's just a hassle to have to take
Yeah.
it to court. It's like we just were like, okay, yeah. I mean, I've always been like where I'm like definitely always trying to buck the system, but I do it in a mild mannered way where you don't even know I'm doing it. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
there's
Like,
a
I'm not
difference
going to be
between-
out there like, like
There's a
remember-
difference between doing it on your own social media and doing it on public news.
Right, yeah, exactly. And like my own social media was just like on my story, just me talking shit to my friends, basically. That nobody was seeing that. I don't have like following like where people are like, "Oh my god, Zach is really going hard on the pandemic." I'm like, just to let us, I didn't say anything crazy. Like I would do this though. I would go on like Governor Tom
Hit
Wolf.
the switcher.
Oh yeah,
You're
what,
good.
on me?
You're good.
Is it on me?
Yeah, no, it's on me.
Oh, okay. Now it's on me.
No, you got to hit 2. There
Now
you
it's
go.
on me. Oh, shit.
Yeah, no, I don't want to mess up if a Sean's got some gold or something.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Instead of just tomato guy over here.
Yeah, just me sitting there smiling. Yeah.
It's just me drinking a seltzer,
Yeah.
bright red from Proper
Be
12.
like, interesting. Very nice. But what were we talking about? I don't even remember.
The closing of the gym.
Closing the gym. Oh yeah, coronavirus. Yeah, it was just me bitching about them letting us have the gym open. So it's not like anybody really was seeing that. But I used to go on Governor Tom Wolf's Instagram every now and then like this. Like he would post up a thing of like, him waving like to a crowd that's probably non-existent, or like him like with a mask on, being like, "We got to protect our citizens. Wear a mask." And I would
Yeah.
go on there. I'd be like, "You're a real piece of garbage keeping your business open." Because
Yeah.
guys were telling me that he kept his woodworking business open or something like that. And
He
I
got a
was like,
lot of heat. He got a lot of heat.
yeah, he kept his woodworking business open. You know what I mean? That pissed me off, man. So I was like, I'm gonna go on there and talk shit.
It's crazy to like think about all that shit that went on, all that shit that everybody talked. Like I was talking to somebody like how we used to have to wait in line at the grocery store because at Wegmans they were letting like
Yeah.
7 or 8 people in at a time. And then like to me the craziest thing about it is we just went back and no one talks about it.
Yeah.
Like, bro, you didn't like let us leave the house.
Yeah, I know. It is
Yeah.
crazy, bro. You couldn't leave the house. People were like, one time I was in Wegmans with my wife, and I was like, obviously wearing my mask where it's like down here, and I see a
The
guy.
new social distancing. Do you remember
Yeah.
not wearing a mask and people fucking making you feel like a
Yeah.
piece of shit?
Oh my God, they wanted me, dude. One time, oops, now it's on me. One time I was on a plane. I was coming back from Austin, and I got mad because they flew us. Our car was in Allentown, and they were like, we'll be landing in Allentown in 20 minutes. And all of a sudden, like 40 minutes later, I'm like, damn, my phone's about to die. I feel like it's been longer than 20 minutes. So I'm asking the guys, how long has it been? Oh, yeah, it's been like 40 minutes. I'm like, what's going on? They're like, oh, actually, there's been fog. We're going to land you guys in Newark. I'm like, what? I'm like, our car's in Allentown. And so I'm like, well, what are they going to do about it? And they're like, well, we don't know. And I'm like, it's midnight. And I'm with a bunch of people, and everyone's kind of pissed off because, we're on a flight and we just want to get home. And we get there, and they're like, we get off the thing, and there's just like some kid, looks like he's in his early 20s, working at the counter, and everyone gets off, and I was flipping out too. I'm like, yo, man, what, like, are they going to drive us? Like, I have 6 people with us. Are they going to drive us back to Allentown? They're like, no, we're not. I'm like, okay. And that's when I realized, like, because of like COVID and everything, like customer service was gone.
Yeah,
they're just like,
gone.
Screw you.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
anyone
what do you
who
mean?
tolerated people is out of that
Yeah.
business.
I'm like, what do you mean? You screw us? Like, you just dropped off like 60 people or 40 people on a plane. Like, dropped us off at the wrong place. Now what? So we had then think about this at midnight. Everyone who's on the plane has to go to the rental car place. So everyone is in line at the rental car.
Oh, that takes forever.
So
too.
then I rented a van. You know what I mean? And I have to rent a van, and it costs like $800. And I have to drive it home, drive everyone home, and then take the van to the airport and drop the van off, and then get picked up myself. And I'm like, dude, I'm pissed. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure either I did that or Thor, someone else had to get rid of the van. But that was like infuriating. And I was like, oh, coronavirus is over. But the whole point of that story is I was just not wearing a mask on purpose. And they were flipping out. They were so pissed. I thought I might get in trouble when I got to the terminal. Like when they finally landed, I thought they might have like the cops waiting there for me or something. Like, this guy's being crazy. He's got tattoos. He's got bald. I don't know what his deal is. He's back there pissed off because, he parked his car in Allentown, and now we drove him 40, an hour and a half the opposite direction, and told him to go F himself. So
it was
he's
a
little
complete
upset.
divide on whether you wore a mask or not. I remember not like going to it was always grocery shopping, and then I would be like, I'm not wearing a fucking mask. I have asthma.
Yeah, I know. It's just funny,
I'm
though.
usually overweight. Usually. There's like small moments where I'm not. So like it sucks to breathe. I can't breathe right now. Like
Wearing a
I'm
mask
just
is
getting
tough,
off
yeah.
of being addicted to Afrin.
Yeah.
So like I would just be like, fuck this. I'm just not wearing. And I remember people giving me the dirtiest fucking looks.
Yeah.
What the
Oh
fuck?
my God, yeah. People
And then
are
it's
pissed,
like,
yeah.
then they're like, you know what else was crazy? And like, they just don't talk about it. I mean, the new normal. Like that whole stuff and the social distancing and like
Yeah, we're just
they
gonna
like
have to do
started
this
coming
now,
out with
yeah.
commercials where like people are playing in the park and all that
Yeah.
stuff and like
Yeah.
and what's crazy is us talking about this will probably get flagged on YouTube, but like it's just so wild that none of that is addressed anymore.
Yeah, they kind of, Rand Paul kind of like was giving Fauci, the business there for a while and calling him out on stuff, and then that kind of just went away.
Yeah.
Like, what happened to that? Like, they just probably came up to Rand Paul and were like, hey, listen, here's $1.5 million, says, let him alone, all right? And he's probably like, all right. I don't want to, allegedly, but, yeah, the new normal is like, you know what? I forget who said this. Like, I'm sure I heard this somewhere, but really what they do is with all this crap is they want to test you. And so if like they push you and push you and push you until you go, no, that's enough, and then they say, okay, now we'll scale it back a little bit. And then they come back, but they push you a little bit farther, and then you give them a little bit more. And then they're like, no, that's enough, So at what point are you like, whoa, this is communism now, or this is like, the government is making decisions without the people. That's the biggest issue that I have. Like, they're making decisions on everyone's behalf. It used to be about the people. It's now become a monopoly government and banking system. It's insane. Like, I just don't see the scary thing about it is, bro, like, and people will accuse me of being super right wing and stuff like that, which I don't feel that I am. I think in this one I will vote for Kennedy, to be honest with you, even is allowed. But that just goes to show you that it's not a Republican Democrat thing. He was a Democrat, and they just didn't like him talking about
This election's gonna.
They didn't
be,
like him talking about because he can't say it.
This election's gonna be like. I feel like it's gonna be like a build up to WrestleMania.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be, dude.
So fucking nuts.
Yeah, it's gonna be Trump v. Biden. Like,
Yeah.
are you, dude?
I don't think they're gonna run him again. I think they're like he's not even like capable anymore. Like there's no. I don't know. Could you imagine voting for him?
That's what I posted up, and like sometimes I'll think like, man, I shouldn't post that on my story, but like well, I love there it is. I think about Biden. The last thing I saw was him in line at a bar, like an ice cream place for some odd reason,
Yeah.
So like, if I was his publicist, I would say to him like, okay, guys, listen. Whoever's driving Biden around, no more ice cream shops. Let's just keep him eating ice cream only at his house, only at the office. Like, we get it. The guy likes ice cream and he's old. Okay, fine. Let's not have him answering questions from the press about the shit that's going on in Israel and Gaza. Is there going to be a ceasefire anytime soon? He's literally, dude, the one
it's so crazy.
slowed it down. He's literally going, he gets an ice cream cone and they're like, the press is talking to him and he's not looking. He's like looking over and like looking at the ice cream cone and he's just like this.
He's like a child. Like he's like, I can't
He's
wait.
about to eat it. He's like, and they're like, what do you think about, will there be a ceasefire in Israel and Gaza?
He came
And
to Allentown. He was booed.
yeah.
Somebody I know posted like they were in the room while he was there, and like they like posted a picture like, oh, I got to see him, and I was like, how embarrassing! How embarrassing is that?
Got to see him.
Yeah, I was like, I wouldn't
Dude,
put that
remember,
up.
yeah, remember
I
when he
wouldn't put that up at all.
Remember when he fell off the bike, dude?
Yeah.
I mean,
That was early on before he was fucking like full fucking retard. He's
dude,
gone.
why has he lost his?
He's
Bro,
gone.
anyone who's making excuses for him, bro, I just give you this one.
I don't know anyone making excuses for him. I know people that voted for him, and they definitely. I know they did because they told me, like when that election was going on, and then because it was just people who wanted Trump out, and then. Well, I'll take that, and then now it's like you do not hear anyone talking about like their president at all. No one is being like, "This is my guy." Like it's such a weird time. The border, and we don't have to go down any of this because it's down everybody's throat. But
I know, like Joe, like you were saying, Joe Rogan says,
Yeah.
every time him and Kid Rock and him and Dr. Phil's down at the border
Yeah.
and shit like that.
I was so bummed on the Kid Rock one. I really wanted to like his origin story of like Detroit and everything is like
Yeah.
so cool.
I know.
And it's like what I used to do when I used to stick up for him. But then after that podcast, I'm like, I don't think I'm even able to stick up for him anymore.
Just stick up for Kid Rock.
Yeah. Like
I didn't even listen to it, honestly.
It was decent, and then at the end of it, he just like shot himself in the foot, where he was just like, "Yeah, man." He's like, "We should just fucking bomb countries." Like it's just what you would think. Talking to like, you ever work like in a factory, and you have like a factory friend you don't really bring around your other friends because he's just like,
yeah, crazy.
yeah. And then if you give him beers on top of that, like once they started getting into beers, you could just see Rogan's face, like, "Fuck."
Yeah, he shouldn't have did that, yeah.
Or you shouldn't have been talking about, global economics and world crisis with Kid Rock.
Once he's a couple beers deep, he might not even be saying what he really means.
No,
Like,
that's
he could
the other
just be
thing,
getting
too.
fired up, and he doesn't like if he wasn't drunk, he wouldn't be saying it, And yeah, dude, I knew, bro, the guys that I used to work with at G&S Fasteners.
Yeah, dude.
So like they put in it. The greatest story is. They put in, so we had a really crappy old shop, but the guys were great, man. I love the guys that all work there. It's nothing against them, but some of the guys were kind of crazy, and I kind of forgive them. They grew up in a different era, so I kind of forgive them. So
It's crazy what you put up with for a work friend.
yeah. And I mean, like the guys have good hearts. That's
Yeah.
the thing. They're just idiots, and they don't know anything outside of like Catasauqua.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's it. They grew up in Catasauqua. Their parents grew up in Catasauqua. That's it, bro. But their idea on like foreign politics, like obviously now I'm not asking them. I'm not like, oh, I wonder what fucking Ray, I'm not even going to say the guy's name, but I wonder what some of these guys think about like, foreign politics and like what's going on over in like other countries. And when at the time when I worked there, like Iraq war and everything that was going on, and they would just be like, they should just make that place a freaking parking lot,
Yeah.
about the whole place. And I would, I'm definitely like,
Well, that's what
listen,
he was saying on the podcast, and then Rogan's like, "Hey, man, like there's innocent people," and he's like,
Right.
He's like, "Well, that's the only thing people understand," and I just feel like you shouldn't get your politics from a guy who's like, "The Birds won the Super Bowl this year. I'm getting a tattoo."
Yeah, I mean, dude, like I would say to these guys, there's a lot of people. I don't think that's the majority of people that are in those. There's millions of people over in those other areas, bro. Like, that's not right, man. Think about what you're saying. And I would say to them, like, literally, think about what you're saying. And they would just be like, no. And I'd be like,
Yeah.
all right, man, you guys are insane, dude. And then I would have to just walk away from them because they put a TV up in the shop.
And it's news in the background.
Yeah, just constant news. And then, anything would set these guys off, though. They would get pissed off about a lot of different things. Like anything, like they were like super, super conservative dudes, so they like did not like anything that wasn't that, and everything is too, I mean, I can't even imagine, bro, the way things are now. I mean, maybe those guys lightened up, but I highly doubt it. I mean, a lot of them are retired now, but I can't imagine the things that are going on now. I can't imagine the wild shit that they'd be saying, probably crazy stuff. That's why I was talking about Shane Gillis. I really like Shane Gillis. He's,
I think it's just
yeah.
refreshing for the time.
Yeah, I think so too. He was on. I did watch the Saturday Night Live thing. Finally, that was good.
The
But
monologue was good. I don't like their skits at all.
I didn't watch any of the. I didn't watch.
There was a
any of the skits, yeah.
funny one was the emu, like the what is it, the emu or whatever. It was like
Oh yeah, I know. That
like
one.
the insurance guy. He was like playing the cop, and then like the fucking emu was like doing coke and like killing people and shit. It was like when he did like solo stuff, it was funny. I like his sketch stuff, but like SNL was never my cup of tea for comedy.
No, me neither. They've had, back in the day, they had some good ones that I used to crack up with. There's one that, speaking of like, stuff that you can't bring up now. There is a Will Ferrell one. Have you ever seen this one?
Probably.
He's gonna sue me probably now, but there's a Will Ferrell one where he is doing Robert Goulet. Have you seen? I don't know if you
Yeah.
ever seen the Goulet, and he's like doing like rap songs, and he's doing Biggie, and he's doing like a thong song. And he definitely drops the N-bomb like mad
Wow.
times. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like, I always thought, like, because when they bring, this guy said, this thing back 20 years ago, and they bring it back on people, they bring it back on everybody. And I'm surprised they never brought that back. Like, I think that's definitely out there. I mean, obviously he wasn't, that doesn't mean he's racist or anything like that. It just means like he was just saying the N-word on Saturday Night Live, though.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they bleeped it out or,
I don't
or
know.
not, but. That's kind of weird that they.
Yeah, I mean the whole thing with Gillis, from what I understand, is like
Yeah, why did he get kicked off? That's what I want.
I've been watching some podcasts with it and stuff. So it was a clip from his Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
So like they were speaking freely because it's behind a paywall. So like they were saying that like TMZ, whoever acquired the clip, had to like pay for the Patreon. And then, like, that's kind of a way people get away with doing what they want because there's no real freedom anymore on, like, YouTube and stuff. So, like, they'll do, like, it's like how when Opie and Anthony used to be on XM radio.
Yeah.
Or they used to be on 94.1 and they couldn't say shit. And then they would go over to XM, but because you were paying for it, if you were hearing inappropriate shit, it didn't matter. It's
Yeah,
like
when they
paying
went
for
there, they went nuts, yeah.
Yeah, it's like you're paying for a pay-per-view. So if it's inappropriate, you already know you're paying for inappropriate stuff.
Yeah. You paid for it.
Yes. So they were like, Gillis was like, the whole thing was crazy because it was on our Patreon. So technically this is behind a paywall. So if this offends you, you can just not pay for episodes anymore. So he was like making off-collar Asian accents and making jokes about Asians. But it wasn't anything crazy. And then somebody on SNL or another comedian was like, oh, cool. Shane Gillis he just got on SNL. Like, he didn't even do an episode. They hired him. They liked him. And then this other comedian or somebody on SNL was like, "Oh, that's really cool that SNL hired this racist guy," and then had the clip out of context and then put it out and it went viral. And it went so viral at the time because it was at like the peak of like canceling people that like Lorne Michaels was like, "Hey, we're gonna wait and see if this dies down," and then it didn't. And then Lorne Michaels was like, "We don't want to do this, but like I have to let you go because they're breathing down my neck that like I hired a racist," and like, you know, of course it's SNL. They're not going to stand up for anybody.
Right.
They
Yeah.
just bury him and move on. But then, you know, it was cool because then he left that. Obviously was scared shitless, went on Rogan. And then he came back on Rogan and then he started doing the Protect Our Parks. And then like at that time, he was just doing like the sketch comedy shows that he does. And he still kept doing the podcast. And then all of that blew up because I think what a lot of people like about his stand-up and stuff is that like I said, it's refreshing because it's how we were growing up when there wasn't people giving you guidelines on what to say.
Where's he from?
He's from this area.
That's what I thought.
In the sense of like outside Philly, like maybe Harrisburg, that area or somewhere around there. I know he said he's moving back here. He's in Texas now. So I mean, for him to blow up like that, you know, from just going on Rogan and then being his own beast, and then now SNL brought him back. Bud Light. What's cool is like through the whole Bud Light Kid Rock nonsense, like he never put down Bud Light, and Rogan kept. I could see Rogan's angle where he was like, Bud Light should be sponsoring you, and then now they do.
Yeah.
So like that between Netflix bought his a sketch comedy series off of him, putting out a new special for him. He got asked to come back on SNL. Like he's a fucking beast right now, and I love it because it's refreshing because he's in your. He's the same fucking guy that you said sucked, and now he's too big to be fucking canceled.
Yeah, and you know what?
And canceling him didn't work.
Yeah, the guys, I saw like the monologue, like before I even listened to it, because I was just listening to him talk about like old like presidents. Like there's a good one with him and Louis C.K.
Yeah.
And they're just talking
He's
about
very
all the
intelligent
presidents.
on that stuff.
Yeah, they know a ton.
He knows like his history and his presidents and all that.
Yeah, they know a ton of stuff.
It's like
with,
me and Fast and the Furious.
hey, we're family, you know. But dude, he knows all that stuff, man. It's really cool, and he has like, I like history. I love history, and I love hearing him talk about it and talk about you know, the presidents. They were talking about the Vietnam War and all these different things, and it was pretty cool. Like that got me into him. Then I was like, all right, let me listen to the monologue, because I saw people were like, oh my god, he should be canceled and this, that, and the other thing, and I forget what he even said.
Well,
I didn't
they
even
tried to
I don't
cancel
remember
him
what he even
again.
said in it.
It was most of his act. It was
Yeah.
like stuff he was talking about Down syndrome and stuff. They tried to cancel him again, and they were like, "Hey, does anyone remember Shane Gillis is still racist?"
Yeah.
And they were like, right before he was going on, they were trying to drum up the same clip. Like they were like TMZ like gave him a backhanded compliment and like re-released the content, and like nobody was paying attention to it this entire time.
Here's the thing.
But also, like, it was on Patreon. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, you have to pay to see that. It wasn't public.
And here's the thing. I mean, this is a hot take, and maybe they'll get me canceled. But just because you make fun of something doesn't mean that you hate it. Just
No, I mean, look, that's all my brothers.
Yeah. Just because I make fun of like a Chinese person, or I make fun of you know, a black person, doesn't mean I'm racist. That's like ridiculous to people. It's so short-sighted. You can't even joke around with people anymore. When I was in high school, people would joke around about would rip white people to my face all the time. Like, I don't think, like, when everyone's being cool, like, you kind of understand the context between someone who's being a real piece of shit and someone who's just being funny. You know what I mean? Or just trying to, like, make a joke. And obviously some jokes don't hit, and when they're over the top, it's like, dude, like, that's a little ridiculous, but please, people, have some tact. But, like, you know what doesn't have any tact is, what's Tony Hinchcliffe's show?
Oh, Kill Tony.
Now, is every guy on there racist or what?
They
Is
tried.
that, you know what
They
I mean?
tried to get him too. He was he used to have, like, you know how he has Hans Kim on?
Yep.
He had another guy on, and brought him out, and they were just making. I mean, that show is the Gong Show. Like, so,
Yeah.
like, he made a bunch of off-color comments about. He was just making fun of him and, like, you know, racial jokes and stuff, and it was just all like observatory things. And then the next day, the guy was like, Tony Hinchcliffe is a racist and all that stuff, and that's actually why he has Hans Kim on now. Is he's like, oh really? I'm racist? He's like, I just blew this guy's career up. He lives with me. Like,
I know, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, because the reason why I bring that up, because they have some really, risque stuff being said on that Kill Tony there.
I love Kill
Yeah.
Tony. I watch that like TV. I watch that every Monday or whatnot. What do you think about Sean Strickland finally getting canceled? Did you see that?
He's finally canceled?
Not really. It was just kind of a gay cancel, but I guess because it was after he beat up Sneeko, he ran into Machine Gun Kelly and was
I
calling
saw
him a
it.
vampire.
Yeah.
So Machine Gun Kelly must have partnership in the Nitro Rally thing. So you know that UFC bought like this Travis Pastrana's like company and all that, where it was like it's called like Nitro Racing. It's probably combined with Nitro Circus. I think they bought that as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Dana White and partners bought that, and it's probably like another thing they do outside of Slap. Like, is this where they like hide their money as a loss?
Probably.
Yeah. So
Be like, oh, Nitro Circus lost.
I was
another
interested
$5
in the
million.
Nitro thing because it's like it was like dirt track racing and like dune buggy
Travis
racing.
Pastrana used to be cool, yeah.
Yeah, I still like him. So it's like the truck racing out in the desert.
Oh, yeah. I saw the Cribs with Travis Pastrana, and he was talking about it, yeah.
So they have those races, and the UFC was starting to promote the Nitro races, and Sean Strickland was going to race one of the dune buggies or something because he does that outside of that. So they were crossing Sean Strickland over there, and Machine Gun Kelly called over there and like put a stop to it and was like, "No," he's like, Sean Strickland's not coming over here. He has to be an owner in it.
Yeah.
And then Sean Strickland went off and was just like, it finally happened. He's like, the vampire got me.
I mean, that's not. I wouldn't even consider that canceling. That's just doing a dick
Cock
business
blocked
move.
him. Yeah.
Let's be like, hey,
I mean,
you know
well,
what?
Sean Strickland was like in Machine Gun Kelly's like wife's DMs being like, I can't believe you fucked this loser. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I
he
would.
didn't help his case.
Yeah, I would have. Yeah, then if it was up to me, if I was, I mean, Machine Gun Kelly's a Quimby in
He's
my opinion.
awful.
But if I was,
I liked him better when he was Southern rap.
yeah, I never really liked him honestly. But if I did, if I was him by mistaken, somehow just woke up Machine Gun Kelly. I would have did the same thing. I would have been
of
like, "Oh,
course.
wait, who wants a job over there? Sean Strickland?
Yeah.
Nah. Let's cut him off. Oh, how much was he getting paid? 15 G's for that? Nah.
Did you
we'll shut
see?
that down.
Did you see him beating the shit out of that influencer?
Yeah.
What was your thoughts on that?
Honestly, man, anytime shit like that happens, I could care less. I don't really give a crap. I'm like, someone's like, oh my God, Sean Strickland just beat up an influencer. I'm like, first of all, I have no idea who an influencer is. Second of all, I mean, yeah, obviously he was UFC champion. Like, I guess he beat up an influencer, but then the influencer obviously is just trying to do it to get views or whatever. Was
Yeah.
he had like a legitimate beef with Sean Strickland?
No, he said to Strickland he wanted to spar, and Strickland was like, oh, you want to come in? Like, Strickland's point on the whole thing was funny because he was like, these people think they're untouchable, and he's like, these guys just come in here and they get views, so like the UFC lets them, and then like he's like, they think they're untouchable gods. I mean, it would have been very similar with when I let Carmelo kick me if
Yeah.
he would have just completely blown my, like, because he kicked me, and then he didn't know me, and I didn't interview him before that. I interviewed him after that. But like when I came in there, I didn't know what I was doing. I posted that clip the other day. I stood so stupid, and then afterwards he like helped me up, and he's like, "Dude, I did that at like 40%."
Yeah, I know.
And
Melo's
then I
a
remember
monster.
who's the dude who owned the gym.
Rodney.
Rodney told me before I went out there, he's like, he kicked me 100% and like blew my fucking knee out, and he's like, I had
Yeah.
to have surgery, and I'm like, what are you telling me this for?
Yeah.
I'm going to let him do that.
Yeah, he kicked his knee out. Yeah.
But Carmelo could have done that to me,
Yeah.
and it was my fault because I asked him to do that. Carmelo didn't do that because he's a nice guy. Sean Strickland, I don't think he's a nice guy, and I think that. But then it was funny because then they banned that TikToker from the Performance Center.
Really?
Yeah,
That
'cause
guy who he beat up?
He wanted to go in then and wrestle Marab, and then they went there and they were like, "Nah, get out of here." They're like, "It was bad press for us. Get the fuck out of here."
Yeah, see,
but I
bro-
also am like, that's kind of cool. Like, yeah, get this shit out of here. There's UFC people
Yeah.
fucking training. This is a gym, you dickhead.
Yeah, exactly. That's my thoughts on the whole thing is like, if I'm the fighter, I get it if you're the influencer because that's what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
But if
They talked about it on
Yeah.
Joe Rogan.
I'm the fighter, I don't have time for that shit. Like, I could give a flying freak about fighting influencers. Like,
Yeah.
back in the day when I had nothing to do, when guys would show up at the gym and like want to be like, I'm gonna test out. No one does that anymore, but guys will be like, I want to test out the gym. I'm like, all right, now we're gonna beat the shit out of this guy. But now it's like, why am I wasting my time? Like, I'm working on stuff. I got too much stuff going on. I don't have time to beat up an influencer. It's just like, hey, bro, like, just go back to doing YouTube, man. Like, I don't have time to, you know what I mean? Like, be in here. But like, I guess if you're Sean Strickland, you got nothing to do all day and you're just like training, and like some guy talks shit and you're just like, all right, let me beat this guy's ass for no reason.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like either of them, so I didn't give a fuck.
Yeah, I don't really care about Sean Strickland. I mean, I don't, honestly, there's not a lot of fighters that I actually like, that I like that I'm rooting for. I'm just kind of always rooting to see like actual mixed martial arts, if that makes sense. Like, I'm always kind of rooting to see like someone do some sick striking mixed with wrestling, mixed with grappling, mixed with like I love when someone's like pushed up against the fence and they reverse the guy and then they take the guy down and the guy reverses it on him, and like, or a guy who goes for a submission that you didn't think he was about to go for. Like, I like that kind of stuff. I like the mixing it up part. Like, I'm not really like into fighters. Like, I was showing like I taught fundamentals last night like 8 p.m. Wednesday night, and it's filled with a lot of college kids and a lot of guys. And I showed them, I was teaching them this way to go to mount. It's called a dope mount. It's where you put a leg drag and then you double leg drag and then you step over, you crunch the guy in, and it pulls you right up the mount. And I was like, yo, this, and I always like to tell them, like, yo, this actually happened in UFC. And I showed him, it was Conor McGregor versus Dennis Seaver. You ever see that fight?
Of course I did.
And Dennis Seaver, you know, short little tank, you know, German guy.
He had that
just throws-
spinning back kick was his big thing.
Yeah, he just throws spinning back kick like crazy, and like, you know, that was a great fight for McGregor because he had the reach advantage, and man, like, one of the other guys, I forget who said it, but one of the guys was like, man, you forget how smooth McGregor was.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, bro, back in the day when you watched, and it's so funny to say back in the day because it's like McGregor, like, he was kind of a newer fighter. Like, I remember, I'm still from the era of all
Yeah,
the older
I
guys.
watched him come all the way up. That
Yeah.
Seaver fight was so cool because it was kind of like the beginning of when he started coming out in suits.
Yeah.
And Seaver didn't shake his hand, and he was like, "Fuck you," and that was
really?
like kind of the. That was kind of like. It might have been after that where he showed up in the white suit, because that was when he still had his cornrows
Yeah,
and like
the
his hair
cornrows.
tied
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
I don't even think he probably had the gorilla tattoo yet.
Man, I don't think so. Yeah,
Dude, that's early. That's like third, fourth fight.
And so, like, in that fight, at right at the end of the fight, he knocks him down. We just watched it. He knocks him down with a body shot, and McGregor was just eating him alive towards the end because he's so long.
Yeah.
And compared to Seaver, anyways, and he would just look like so smooth, like in that karate stance, and he'd be just trying to land that long left. He'd wait for you to, like, he'd paw at you and like wait for guys to like duck in and come at him, and then he'd just step back, hit him with the way of the intercepting fist, Bruce Lee style. Like, he'd be moving back so they would come forward, and all of a sudden he would come forward with it, and he would just be like, boom, hit guys perfect, and he's just douching him with the left. And then anytime he goes to throw the left, Seaver would go this way, and he would turn right into his spinning back kick because he's turning kicking
Yeah.
with his other leg. And it was so, he looked so smooth. And one of the guys said that, like, you forget how smooth McGregor was. And then when he knocks him down with the body shot, you know, when someone's on the ground and you're on top and you want to finish them with punches, if you're coming at them straight and you're not on the side of them, like in a knee on belly or side control, they could just kick you in the face. You ever see the really old fight between Renzo Gracie and Oleg Taktarov? I don't know if you remember, you've probably seen this one where Taktarov takes him down or whatever, and Hensel's on his back, and he just up kicks him in the face and KOs him. And then there's been up kicks. Like
Yeah.
guys have gotten up kicked.
Goldie used to say, "Watch the up kick, Joe. Watch for the up kick."
You can't just walk into it.
Yeah.
Every now and then it happens. I think
Not as much anymore, but I mean, the last time I saw something really crazy from the ground was Kevin Holland knocking out Jacare from the fucking ground. That was like, holy shit. He like KO'd him.
Was that a punch?
Yeah, it was a
or-
punch.
It was a punch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
But he's
interesting.
long as fuck.
Yeah.
But yeah, the up kicks are fucking nuts. And whenever it happens, it's like, oh, and you just see him crumble. When
Yeah.
somebody's winning too, and then he's caught with an up kick.
That's exactly what he was worried about. So what he did was he moved his leg over and he jammed his knee in between his leg. So you wedge your knee and shin. Your knee goes to the mat or ground, and your shin is on their leg, and then your instep and your foot is on the mat. So you're like butterfly hooking their leg, and their legs across. So they're like turned sideways, but their upper body is, they don't really have any options. And he wanted to finish them with punches, but then he hit this way that you go to mount, where he was in the leg drag. Then, like I said, you put your other knee in, then you go over top. And BJ Penn supposedly there's all these lore when it comes to moves, but BJ Penn supposedly like popularized this way to go to mount, and Eddie Bravo called it the dope mount. I don't know why. I think that's what they called it. But Conor McGregor hit that, and I was teaching it to the class, and I like to show it to him right there,
That's
like,
dope.
yo, check this out. And because like a lot of times when you see it, you're like, oh shit, like. No, he's not kidding. Like, because sometimes people look at you and be like, all right, is this legit? And you're like, no, dude, like,
Yeah.
you know. And people would always talk crap on Conor's jiu-jitsu, and I'm like, actually, he's pretty good, man. Like, he's actually really good. Like, it's just not his main thing.
Yeah.
But he's better than most people think. You know, like guys at the gym, like, not at our gym, no one says this, but like at other gyms, I'm sure probably like, or guys who don't train at all are like, oh, Conor McGregor's jiu-jitsu sucks, says some like
I'm a
random
Conor
guys are
McGregor
white belt.
fan, so I hear that every day, all day, to anyone who wants to talk MMA with me, and I remotely bring him up. I mean, it's probably the same thing as being a LeBron fan.
Yeah.
Just, you got to, and I tell everybody, I said, I remember being in a room. He was coming out. It was like the overseas card, and I was like, oh, here's an Irish guy. And then I was like, he beat the guy who used to come out with like the laser thing. He like KO'd the guy in the first round. And then his speech, we're not here to take part, we're here to take over. Like, if you followed that guy from that first fight like I did, it was hard not to be a fan. It was like, who's this dude? Then he made weigh-ins cool. He made embedded cool. And I'm still a fan. I can't wait till he's done, so I don't have to listen to people anymore. Like, he ain't coming back this year. Fuck him. Blah 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 blah. It's like, I always want to see the fight, whether or not he wins or loses. It's always a good build up. It's always exciting. There's always something going on.
I love how guys are just like, if McGregor's not the greatest of all time, he's just a complete piece of shit. I mean, sure, obviously he's done some things that like I don't agree with, but I've also never gotten all that kind of money. I'm not gonna lie.
Look at
like,
John Jones right now, man.
Yeah.
He's like injured, and like they were like, hey, he's not fighting in his next fight, and it's typical Jones. He's like, oh, sorry, I'm not fighting. I miss my fans. God bless everyone.
Yeah.
Then you just start seeing these clips of him at like the clubs where like he's back on a bender.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I wonder if the UFC just was like, knew he was on a bender, and at this point know how to handle him. And they're like, we're going to let John get this out of his system.
Yeah.
He's probably going to get arrested. Then after he gets arrested, then after that, we'll clear it up. Then we'll give you your Stipe fight.
Yeah.
Like, it's like when they let out that, it is normal for them to get John Jones in Las Vegas on a plane and out of Las Vegas. And when Dana White said they heard that he didn't get on that plane and was staying an extra day, they were like, knew he was going to get arrested. Like, that's crazy. Like, that's the little bit they let out that you're allowed to know. Could you imagine the fucking nightmares? How about the nightmare when like he didn't fight DC and DC cried and then had to fight Anderson Silva?
Yeah.
Like, that guy's, to me, watching it as much as I have, John Jones technically undefeated, and he beat all of my heroes. I don't know anyone who's actually fought tougher opponents, and he's still fucking people up. He went into heavyweight and fucking made Cyril Gane look like he's never fucking fought.
Exactly, just killed him.
But to go back to what you said, and I was a McGregor fan. Then I realized how to be a fan of a fighter by being a fan of Izzy. And then now watching fighting this long, and I'll never be the way I am with Conor with anyone ever again, that I'm like ride or die to where like I've like got into, like I threw a kid over a couch down here once drunk. Like I'll never do that again. But like what I like, how you're saying is you look for the martial arts in it is, I look, what's the better fight next? Okay, so if we have like Robert Whittaker and somebody, okay, well, Robert Whittaker's been a champ. This is, or same thing with like Tapora coming up. Like I love Volk, but like I get it. And how many times are we going to watch that same promo of him being a thing? But like Tapora was fun. They got him driving around in Aston Martins and he's wearing suits and he's out to nice dinners and he's from Spain and like he's got this like arrogance about him. He took the belt off the guy, but he's still being respectful. And I'm like, here's like a kind of polished version of what McGregor was doing back then. And then he's just sleeping all these people. And I'm like, man, that guy fighting anyone in the division is awesome because it's new and it's fun. And this guy's a murderer. And his disciplines are so strong everywhere. I don't know who he's going to beat. And he's talking about going up and wanting to fight Islam or these other people. Like it's real. That's really exciting as a diehard who watches everything. Yeah. As opposed to, hey, Volk's gonna fight again. Yeah. And I'm like, I love Volk, but like he just got brutally KO'd back to back. And then I saw thing, he's like, mark my words, that belt's mine. I'm like, bro, you were just lights out in 2 main events.
I know.
Main events.
He got to say that, but I mean, honestly, if the UFC, they need to put a break on him.
Oh,
He's fighting too much, getting too much KO'd.
Yeah.
He needs to chill.
But to me, it's like, I'm okay with Tapora beating him because I don't have anything invested in, because what I'm invested in is the next big best fight. Yeah. What's the next big best fight? They're now doing a pay-per-view in Spain. Like that's huge. It's fun. Cool, like to me, so like that's kind of how I watch the fights now. Yeah. Is like, where's it gonna go with that? That's why 300 to me is so boring. 299. Fucking, I love 299.
Which one is that?
Sugar headlining against Cheeto. There's a fucking, the whole card. The Poirier's fighting that fucking gangster dude that's been KOing everybody. Like that's such a tough fight for Poirier. Yeah. But 299 at this point is a way better card than 300.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, dude, the thing with Conor, too, is I feel like the guys who really hate on Conor McGregor, that go out of their way to hate on Conor McGregor, are the same guys who, like, doesn't like Trump because his hair.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
His hair. It's like, dude, you are mad because you're not him. That's what the main thing is. They'll never admit that, but you're mad that you can't do that. That's why I feel like guys are like that. Because, like, I don't have anything personally invested in Conor McGregor, but I see the way how he was great and when he was great. Now, yeah, I mean, I get it as an athlete getting older. Like, you're not going to win every fight. But like the Diaz brothers said in that one dope interview, like I tell you guys to go watch, is you don't always just like the guy because he's the greatest of all time. Like, what do we? Yeah. Can we only like the guy who's the greatest of all time? Isn't it cool to just like fighters because they're cool?
Yeah, I don't think anyone has, nor will they be able to do the run that he did because, like, like that whole champ thing and all that stuff that he did, like they didn't even know what to do. They didn't even have the belt ready for him. Like where now it's like, oh, okay, but it's like when DC had it, I don't think anybody really cared. Cejudo, but like how Conor did that with like defeating Eddie Alvarez, and then like I forget but like his whole storyline, that like somebody replayed the Khabib, or they were talking, it was Dana White was on a podcast, and it was like the dude from the Patriots, and he's like, yo, how crazy was that when McGregor and the bus thing actually happened? And Dana White was like, they bitch slapped Artem, and then Artem called Conor, and he's like, Conor got on like a G60 private plane and flew here with like 20 goons drunk, and then they just bum rushed like that was real life. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and then for him to get arrested, and then they used all of that for a storyline build up to Khabib. Like the UFC is now more of a sport. Back then they were selling pay-per-views. Like, I don't think anyone can ever recreate what that guy actually did. Then he went and fought Floyd. Like, I don't think there's anyone that'll really ever have a storyline
Yeah.
like that ever.
They try to do stuff like that though, like Strickland's getting in fights in the crowd and like, you know.
Yeah.
They'll
But
try to do it.
I
But
feel like because he did it first, and like, I feel like he was like, you know, Babe Ruth shit. Like for
Yeah.
a while, there was like 4 fights in a row where he called his shots, and he was
Yeah.
Mystic Mac is back.
that was insane.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Calling KOs.
Yeah,
like
I loved watching his come up, and not just because he was just going in there and launching bombs like some guys. He actually had, and I am sad that he kind of left his original style.
Yeah.
because I grew up doing karate, so watching him bounce up and down like that, like where he's gonna like.
Yeah.
You know, fire in like Bruce Lee style, like that. You know what I mean? Coming in, and then also having the left hand. Like when I touch him, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I touch him with the left, it's
it
over.
sucks because
you know?
I saw an interview where
And then he threw all those kicks.
He wanted they wanted to do like the Saudis wanted to do him versus like Manny,
Mm-hmm.
and like he's tied up in the UFC contract, and the UFC won't let him like go do other stuff, and then because he makes them so much money and they need to get their money back, is like they're very careful with like what they're doing with him.
Yeah.
So like he was like. And I genuinely believe that he's frustrated, and I think he would fight more if he was allowed to. But I think he's such a big draw, they can't. You know, they're not going to have him fight 3 times a year.
I was saying this yesterday. Why I don't understand why they always try to set up like, okay, now Volk, you don't get a title shot. He should fight like Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like put up that would be. I mean, look, Volk might lose that fight, but that's a big fight, and he's fighting McGregor.
How weird would it
Like-
be to be Chandler and you don't let go of the fight because you know you're going to get paid?
Yeah.
Like you have so much invested in it, and then you're trying to get him back, but he's like, whatever, bro. I'm selling beer,
Yeah.
whiskey, and I'm promoting the Roadhouse.
And he could like McGregor could lose to Michael Chandler because he's just tough and you
Yeah.
know, whatever. So it's like, why set that fight up every UFC? Just have McGregor knock out bums.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? But fans
like
are like,
Brooklyn Brawlers.
Yeah.
Just bringing some jobbers.
yeah. Fans are like, well, he's gonna fight the best ever,
Yeah,
and we want to
no.
know who the best
Throw him
is, and we're a bunch of reporters who've never did shit, and we want to know who they.
Throw
hey,
him in
man.
there against Barry Harlowitz.
Yeah, dude, I just want to see him come in there and like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, juke and jive and like knock out Donald Cerrone again, and I'm sure he would like that to just get paid. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care to see, but you know, it's like, all right, let's see who the greatest is in the main divisions, but then after that, let's not have the legends of the sport and guys that are so goddamn cool like getting beat up by the new guys. That makes no sense to
Yeah.
me. Let those guys fight each other. Let's have a like a Masters MMA league.
Yeah, put him.
They
put him.
really
put
should
him.
have that.
Put him in there with Ferguson.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Dude, that was exactly who I brought up last night. I'm like, Tony Ferguson, Conor McGregor. Ferguson never got the Khabib fight. Let him fight McGregor. It'll be a barn burner. They'll
Or
knock
bring
each other
Khabib
out.
back just for that fight with Tony.
Yeah, why not? Khabib ain't fighting no more.
No.
He's overweight. He don't care.
Yeah.
He's made too much money. He just doesn't care. And if I was Khabib, I would do
He
the
might
same
be
thing.
back. The steroid stuff changed.
Nah, he ain't coming back. I don't think so. He doesn't give a shit. You know, if I was him, I wouldn't care. You know, so but so when so right now I've been seeing pictures of the construction of the place and everything like that. So you guys are doing construction. When are you looking to
We
open?
just
the
passed-
people want to know.
We just well, actually, I don't think anyone really knows a lot about what I'm doing. For the first
Yeah.
time, I kept my mouth shut about it. When the first place didn't work out, and we had a lot of people stealing our ideas and different.
No.
You know how that shit
Yeah,
goes.
yeah.
So like, you know. We were just kind of like pissed off that our landlord pulled out of the entire project. We were working on the project for 3 years. He pulled out of it, and it wasn't fun. We secured a place over in Tatamy. It was the old Tatamy
Yeah,
takeout.
why did he pull out of it? What was that guy's deal?
He didn't want to spend the money.
Oh.
You see how all that stuff's going on upstairs?
Yeah.
The tenant's doing that. If you had to put a restaurant in a building, you wouldn't be able to let us do it.
Right.
You would have to spend, you know, I think what his costs were, it wasn't just us. He had to redo he had to redo 3 separate parts of the building, and it probably would have cost him $300,000. Now, he also dragged his feet, and he waited 3 years. So, like, the longer he kept waiting, the more expensive it was. So like we had got loans and things. I mean, there's a lot to put out there, but I don't care. But like we got loans and things where our interest rates are low because at the time it was good.
Right.
If we would do that now, it would be way different. So I don't think he never really gave us a straight answer. I think he didn't want to spend the money. So like when we left that idea, I didn't really talk to anybody about it because I was building, like I timelined my social media so that I was supposed to transition over there, open up a new studio, open this restaurant. Then when that stopped happening, my social media was just kind of like, all right, you know, there's people, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And then when it didn't go at all, I just made the conscious decision of I'm going to keep my mouth shut about this until it's real. So the first time I posted really anything about it was last week, but we took over the old Tatami Takeout there. They went under. It was basically turnkey. We had to put in a bathroom and we moved some things around in there. We went through 3 inspections. We have a final inspection, which is the building, which the final inspection we could probably have now because the building and kitchen and everything was already ready to go. So the business was already open. It's not like it's a new building. So they're just going to look at what was already working.
Yeah.
So at this point, we have one more inspection. The oven comes in on March 11th. Then that's a 3-day install. Then we have to do training with that. So realistically, probably the first week of May, because we'll probably do soft openings end of April. And then, you know, we start paying rent in March. We'll probably, in a real life situation, we'll probably eat March and April. Just because, you know, what are we going to do? Rush to open the last week of April? You're still fucking paying it. So we'll probably be, I don't see us being open any later than May. So it's been we got to, you know, there's a sign we're getting. We got to put a new sign up on the wall.
Nice.
It's, you know how that shit is, man. It's your third business. It's all permits, inspections, permits, and you got to pay us to put up a sign, but there's already a sign up there. But because it's your sign, you got to pay to put the sign up. And
bro, one time I had to go.
It's all fucking. It's like DUIs. It's just for money.
Me and Evan from Fast Signs, we had to go to a meeting in Easton and sit there and pay $1,500 just to put up a sign the size that I wanted. They wanted us to put up some minuscule sign. I'm like, this makes no sense.
Yeah.
And then we ended up putting up a bigger sign, but I had to pay $1,500 just to.
If
put
our
up the
sign's
sign.
bigger, we'll have to pay more money. It's all a racket. The good thing is Tatami has nothing. So Tatami wants us in there, so they're like pushing our permits faster and like they're not really fucking around. They're on top of it. They want the coffee shop in there.
Nice.
But I'm excited. You know, we're gonna do a lot of shit there that we did here illegally in this basement. So like Burger Club will be back. I'll probably do Studio Kitchen. Probably like, you know, anyone who knows what Studio Kitchen is, a lot of that's gonna come back on probably the weekends. I'll probably get like a bunch of younger kids to just, you know, make burgers, and it's not complicated stuff. But yeah, we're close, man. It's starting to get heavy. There's real fucking money being burned and no money's coming in.
Yeah, that's always the scary thing. Like, that's why, like, I don't have everything fully built out the way I wanted in Stroudsburg yet. But luckily, there's no real inspections there. They kind of don't care about that, which is good. I did have to get building permits and all that stuff and pay for that. But they didn't really, like, you know, hey, we're going to come, like, check to see, like, if your handle on your toilet seat is the right size or whatever, like where they check in Allentown like that. They don't care.
Yeah, Allentown's pretty crazy.
Easton is crazy kind of too.
Tatami was pretty lax.
Yeah.
I mean, it's normal stuff that we should have had. We moved a wall.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we did need permits to do that kind of construction.
Yeah. And like, that's the one time I actually agree with regulations is, you know, because I'm usually against most government regulations, but you want to make sure if someone's opening up a restaurant or a business, you want to make sure that the proper, you know, things are, you know, maybe it shouldn't be as expensive as it is sometimes, but you want to make sure that the people aren't going to like put some electric wrong and the whole thing burns down. Like,
we were lucky. My cousin and my brother, my cousin and my brother, shout out to them. They came in and they're both union, an electrician and a union plumber, and
nice.
The guy looked at the shit and was like, "Yep, no questions asked." Every inspection was under a minute.
Nice. Yeah, that's always good when you have that going down. Yeah, man, that's so awesome, bro. Yeah, I'm gonna keep working towards stuff, but my goal is, like you said, like, people always want it to be perfect before you open. Like, yeah, sure, if you have $1 million to burn, but I just want to get open.
Even
I want to
then-
get this open so I can start making money.
Yeah, we
You
had
know what I
we
mean?
had a lot of conversations, and I kept bringing up to the point, when do we stop spending money?
Yeah.
When I mean, we had to make decisions on coffee equipment, and I was like, let's just do it this way to open.
Yeah.
And then even like how I'm gonna do, like in the beginning I was like really like, oh, we'll do this much food, and now I'm just like, we're just gonna sell bagels and coffee, breakfast
Yeah.
sandwiches and coffee and bagels, and get going. Like,
Yeah.
I am not going to. It's like what you said. We just got to get
Yeah.
we don't want it like the way it's going to look originally is not what we wanted. We wanted like a chandelier and all kinds of new flooring, and then we were like, we can't do this. Let's just fucking open. So
Yeah. Yeah, and you
it's
know
cool.
what too?
It's cool though. It's like it's kind of like you grow and mature in the situation, and then it just makes you smarter for the next situation.
Exactly. And it gives you the opportunity to add things. So, like when people come to your business and you're adding things to it constantly or investing back into the business, people see that and they like it. For instance, we just put another 600 square foot of mat over at Finishers HQ. So, the whole back mat, like the striking is blowing up. Shout out to all the striking coaches, at Finishers MMA and all the guys that help out there. But we just added the whole side next to the ring. And Artist just threw Big Tony through the ring yesterday. Both the guys went crashing down, so the ring needs a little repair. But we're putting, but hey, guys, people are, oh man, the ring's ruined. It's like, hey man, we're fighting over here. Like we're learning how to fight. Like people are gonna get thrown through rings. But we have the whole side matted out now, and there's gonna be wall mats. So like the whole thing in that back area, like now when you look to the side of the ring is gonna be matted out. And you know what? That's how I wanted it originally, but to buy all those mats, an extra $6,000 at the time, it's like, that's expensive.
It's a lot of
know what
money.
So now, though, that things are going good, we take some of the money and we reinvest it back in. Now it's like, hey, we built it. Now we can add more people, and then people have more place to work. And they're like, oh, Finishers actually gives a shit. They're not just putting out the same crap product nonstop and expecting people to buy it when there's never any upgrades and they never take care of the place. And look, guys, you have to take care of your place. Like you can't let it take a shit. Like sometimes things will let go a little bit, like nothing crazy, but like when it comes to the mats and all that stuff, that shit's got to be fixed. Like you got to be on that. And we've had problems with stuff like where we've had to fix things multiple times, and that's just how business is. It's like not like we half-assed it. Like it broke. We need to fix it. You know what I mean? We need to fix it again. So yeah, the goal is to just like, I don't even have the changing rooms built. So, but at tournaments, they have these tents that you pop up, and they're like changing tents.
I never saw those till we went to a Eagles game, and they
Yeah.
do them in the parking lot now, and they make their own bathrooms.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they just put these tents up, and then they piss in whatever.
A bucket or something
Yeah,
like
and
that?
I was like, yeah, that's genius.
That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna
Sorry.
have my bad. That's crazy. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just gonna have 2 of those, and I'm just gonna have those set up so that way people can just change in them until the guy's able to build the changing rooms that I want. Because right now he's doing work in Bethlehem. He's like doing a whole bunch of shit. So then I want him to come up and build changing rooms up at my place. But what do? Wait another week?
No.
No, let's get open. Let's get popping. People can train and go in those. And then one day when guys walk in and there's changing rooms built and there's a nice desk on the side, they're going to be like, oh shit, moving on up. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? People love that kind of crap. So you got to just invest in it and keep bringing more stuff. Like, oh, now we got these now we got pads, now we got a heavy bag, now we're ordering these. Like me and Andrew and John, we're always scheming on things like, what should we buy? Like I'm always asking like Mike Ortiz and Joel, like, hey, do we need striking pads? Or like, oh yeah, Zach will tell me like we need we need tape or whatever. Ricky will tell me like, go get this tape, whatever. And it's like, we just keep getting stuff, and then people appreciate that at the gym. Like all the fighters that we help out with their gear and sponsoring them, they're always like, oh, thanks so much. Like, the old coach, the old place, they never did anything like this. Like we have the opportunity to do those things, but this is how we build people up. You know what I mean? We got to get the right stuff. You got to spend money to make money, unfortunately. But
Hell yeah,
you
man.
also got to get the place open so that way we can start making money. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? That's the thing. Like I remember at our one place in the Redner spot, when I moved to that one, the construction guy that was working on a place, there was like a big blue. I don't know if you remember this, but on the top up above, there was like a blue line going all the way across, like it was to, whatever. Someone just put a blue line on the top.
Yeah.
And the guy was like, "We got to take that out before we get open here." And I go, "Nah, dude, we're not painting that." He's like, "Well, it's gonna take a couple coats." I'm like, "Bro, listen, who gives a shit? No one's gonna mention that whatsoever. We need to open this business now." So that way we can start charging people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we got to pay every month. It's $3,000 or every month it's $4,000. Like we gotta have that.
Yeah.
Like the landlord doesn't give a shit whether you're open or not.
No.
They're not asking
Not
like,
at
"Hey,
all.
are you guys open?"
Not
you know
at
what
all.
I mean?
We start paying rent, and we're out of favors. They gave us that extra 2 months, but like they're paying on the building as well. And
Yeah.
after dealing with the landlord here, landlords think differently.
They do. They don't care.
No.
They don't care. And like, yeah,
That's our thing is we
they're
want to get
paying.
open. We got to get
Yeah.
open.
And then people you start getting a little clientele for breakfast and everything
Yeah.
like that. Hey, did you hear? We now have lunch. You know what I mean?
I'm already we're definitely going to have a lunch thing where we're going to do a lunch special, but like I said, with the singular focus, the more I'm looking at this, I'm like, all right, Saturday night, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Let's just say if I could move 300 burgers on a Saturday night, let's say I could do that. I've done 200 in your parking lot.
Yeah.
So, 300 to 500 is not,
No.
I'm not saying every night, but if you did that, that's a lot of money left on the table.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, what are you doing Saturday night? You're working Sunday.
Yeah.
You ain't staying up till 3 a.m. watching fights and getting all fucked up with your buddies. That's long gone. What are you
Or-
going to do?
Or you have the fights on at the place so you can still watch
I'm already
them.
thinking I'll probably have a
Yeah.
cot. They'll
Yeah.
just wake
And
me
then
up
you
in
just-
the morning.
Yeah, then you just that one idea. I don't want to give too much away, but then you do like little things like specials for each whatever event's going
Yeah.
down. And then oh dude, I'd be just there. I would be, if that was me, I'd be doing the same thing. I'd be there cooking and just watching the fights. You know what I mean? You could have a beer or two. You know what I mean? No one knows. You know?
No.
But yeah, that would be cool. So yeah, man, I'm happy for us, and
It's
you know,
crazy.
yeah,
It's crazy the way we both. I mean, nobody knows from us, but we're constantly on the phone,
Yeah.
and constantly working and helping each other figure out holes in each other's plans, or just like, hey, do this. Yeah, just being supportive and just being good friends to each other, and then for you to be opening up the third finishers, and then me to be opening up a restaurant after just meeting each other from being in Bethlehem because of Dan it's pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah, and you know what? A lot of dudes just listening to this out there, like even if you've been procrastinating on something, which I know a lot of guys have, and you haven't been deciding to actually take that next step, like don't just take a crazy leap for nothing. Like actually go and think about your next moves and just start working towards it. And I think that's like what we're good at. Like we work towards a thing. Like I'm not going to just jump into the thing and be like, here's a huge investment in some random business I never run.
Yeah.
Let's start working towards it. And then as we're working towards it day by day, inch by inch, as John Jacques Machado would say, eventually you get to the point where like, oh, here's a hurdle. All right, now I got to get over this. All right, now I finally worked my way over that. What's the next thing? Oh, you know what? I don't like how this is going right now. Let me just pivot over to this.
Yeah.
And then you just keep
Lot of
moving
pivoting.
forward. Yeah.
If I
There's-
look, looking back on like the trajectory of like what you're saying and how that works, it's like if I wouldn't have put in all those years in a kitchen when I fucking hated my job and I was stuck, and I just remember like listening to Action Bronson, and like I put like fucking 6-7 years of line cooking, maybe longer, and then I took a break from that, and then I got into the social media stuff. And then now rounding back to opening a restaurant, like if I wouldn't have put in that time grinding at that fucking thing, like I love cooking, I hated my jobs, but like if I wouldn't have done that, I wouldn't be doing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I could just be like getting into something completely different, but like to have put in that work before and that foundation, then to have taken the break and started never again, got into all this different stuff. And then now, like I said, it's almost like I'm fucking breaking it down and doing it backwards, where now it's like I'm opening the restaurant, but then I'm taking everything I've learned with marketing, media, and all that and putting it back into myself. Like, I don't know. So, sometimes when you're stuck in those positions and you don't want to be at the fucking job you want, you don't realize that can be making your life easier fucking 10 years down the road. I would never have the confidence to run a fucking restaurant if I wouldn't have put in all that work.
Yep. Exactly. And, that's like your.
I wouldn't have started pop-ups.
Yeah.
The only reason I had confidence to cook in your parking lot is because I was like, hey, man, like you worked at fucking Newburgh and you used to do like 100 tickets every so many hours and like it's just a parking lot. Like, you know what I mean? Like I had the confidence to run the pop-ups because I ran kitchens. And if I wouldn't have ran kitchens, I wouldn't have sure as hell be opening up a kitchen now.
And you know what? You killed it. Everyone loved it. And then because you did all the social media stuff now, it's like you have a whole nother.
It's cool. The guys from the school hitting me up and they're like, Jimbo and, a bunch of different dudes, even from the Allentown school, they're just like, yo, like I cannot. I'm like, hey, you guys saw it first.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, I said, this was built in Finisher's parking lot.
You'll always have the support of all the guys, and there's going to be dudes coming through and everything like that. And then once you start getting, I got a bunch of events that I'm talking about and thinking about for the summer and all this different stuff I'm planning. And I know we'll be working together on stuff and we'll continue to do that. And it's just, man, it's cool to see. And now, dude, like the little ideas that, like, I'm always asking you about, like, these different, like, I was just telling Gabe on the phone, like, I wrote a whole show. Like, I have 6 episodes of a whole show that I want to film. And I'm not going to tell you guys the name because someone will steal it. And I want to get it done with Quentin, but now we just got to do it. And, like, because I've learned so much from you and all this stuff, like, I could even go and have the confidence to do that. Like, bro, you're going to turn, like, being able to do, like basically what Action Bronson's doing, but your
all
own
that stuff he
style,
does now in the kitchen. I'm like looking at it, I'm like, oh, he's just wearing lapel mics. He's got one camera, and then I'm like, I've already done stuff like this, and I'm like, oh, that's the new content. You don't need to be doing what we did now. We've been doing this for an hour and 30 minutes. I ain't gonna have an hour and 30 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, but I can have Zach over, and we can make fucking food in the kitchen and do an episode about that, or he can bring somebody from the school, and then we could be doing a podcast inside the fucking restaurant wearing lapel mics and having somebody like Quentin or my buddy Matt to come in and film it all, and then you're not even really doing it. It's like we're so far ahead of the curve. It's like you're not even really releasing it as that. You're chopping it up into 6 fucking reels.
Yeah. And who around here, not just around here, but who do you see that like has a restaurant that's really crushing it with content like that? Nobody really.
It's so crazy that like people like, it's like they don't want to spend the money for the content, but then they just rely on like food bloggers to come in and just, you know what I mean? And then it's just like, it's just this, to me, it's like everybody's just it's the same recycled shit every year. And I'm like, man, how has no one stepped it up? The Orchid Steakhouse, that dude's putting like real effort, and his wife's into social media and shit. So like they put some cool, sexy stuff out. Like they're definitely branding themselves. I mean, that guy's got like a real fucking legit restaurant. So
which one is that?
It's Orchid Steakhouse. It's over in Bethlehem. That was the guy they were trying to cancel, and they were like fucking shitting all over his restaurant because he had an opinion. It's
I'm
awesome.
going there.
Yeah, I think it's the best steakhouse. I think he used to run Oak when it was still Oak.
Oh, okay.
And then he left there, and then he opened this. But it's probably the most legitimate, real food that you can get in the Valley. And that's if you travel and you know what food outside of Lehigh Valley is. I'm not talking about the people who take a cheesesteak and they chop it up into sawdust and then put spaghetti sauce on it. And they're like, it's cheesesteak. I love pizzeria food. If you've gone anywhere outside of the Valley and you're not in a food page for Lehigh Valley, and you know something about food, that place is fucking awesome.
I want to check. I want to check.
Fantastic cocktails, legit fucking food.
Damn, I might try to go there. Oh no, I can't do it Sunday, but I might try to take my wife there.
Date night.
Soon, yeah. White Orchid, or is it just Orchid?
I think it's
White
Orchid.
Orchid is something. White Orchid is like
the Thai place.
Oh, that place
by
is
the
pretty good,
Promenade.
too.
Yeah, they were on the pod.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this, but Zach Tuk Thai.
Oh.
Zach Tuk Thai, very good.
Oh.
Remember that one? What the hell movie is that? The Fockers or whatever?
Oh yeah.
The Fockers. Oh, Jack Tuk Thai. What else is new? Yeah, that's pretty much it, man. I've been engulfed in like, actually, it's been cool to actually do physical construction work though. Like to go there and like, lay the mats out and like be, like grinding, like the whole place is block, like this place. So I like have to drill in the block and put in tap cons and stuff. So that's been cool. Actually doing construction work and cleaning and breaking down. They had like a room there. We had to bust down the room, and then shout out to J Dog. Junk removal has been picking up all of our stuff. We've had so much shit come out of that little ass place, but we were just busting everything.
You guys are crushing it.
And it's ready to go Sunday, grand opening, and I'm
Chill.
almost a little nervous because the grand opening is gonna have like a lot of people are like, yeah, man, that's cool, awesome. All right, I'll see you Sunday, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna be fucking packed, dude.
Yeah.
You know, but hey, whatever. It's people want to. I noticed that
It's bigger than the Jimmy John spot, right?
Yeah, it's definitely
Yeah.
bigger than Jimmy. I mean, but
You won't
bro,
have a
this
problem.
this is gonna be there's gonna be a million people. But
I
you know
can't
what?
wait
Who
till the
cares?
summer.
Who cares?
When there's just like the garage doors are open,
Yeah.
there's a big fan running, there's like some fucking so much dope content can come out of
Oh
there.
yeah, I'm already thinking
That school has
yeah.
such its own fucking vibe already, and it's not even open.
You should see the guys that already signed up for it. Like I got 20 some people already registered.
Yeah.
That it didn't even start yet. And
they're all
yeah.
new students, right? Because they're not going to Bethlehem.
No, they're
Fuck
just
yeah.
a lot of the guys are just. I looked at, I tried looking them up. Some of them friended me on Instagram and stuff, and just like looking the guys' pictures and stuff. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, this is the crew.
Let's
right here,
go.
baby.
Like a
this
Red
is the crew.
Dawn.
It's like you know what I mean? It's like you're like
Yeah.
Fight Club. Like you just started a whole nother Fight Club. And
Yeah.
they're like, all right, we got this guy.
Yeah.
Like, all right, this guy looks interesting.
It's
like,
crazy. I mean, you guys always get like, in a sense, superstars out of your schools.
Yeah.
It'll be cool to see who comes out of that.
Yeah, I mean, really, I have to say that we are blessed. I mean, you never know. Like, and that's why you got to just,
Yeah, you
have an open
Grace,
mind.
Thor, Renee. Like, there's
Yeah.
so many people that came out of there. It's
Yeah.
like, who's gonna come out of that camp?
And different people, and like people don't even know about the MMA. Like a lot of people don't even know about the MMA team.
Yeah.
And some of these guys, like, oh man, they're finally starting to break through. They don't know. Like artists used to help me with kids class. Like,
Dude, I
he's
had
been
artists on the
training,
podcast,
Yeah.
and I mean, artists at one point was training me in kickboxing.
Yeah.
And it was like privates I was doing around the pandemic, and he wasn't even like allowed to fight at the time.
Yeah, I'm
And-
reporting you. No, I'm just kidding.
And it was your school.
Yeah.
But I remember artists being like, he would just say to me, all I really want to do is fight. And then when he first got to fight, I texted him and was like, dude, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I did
Like
it, man.
artists,
Yeah.
everybody, like I said, it's why I enjoyed doing this podcast. I don't know how much longer I will spend the time telling somebody's story, but it
Yeah.
was always my favorite thing to have. Even just the guys on from the school, Renee's story was crazy. I didn't
Yeah.
know Renee's story. Then artist's story was nuts. And it's like everybody has their own story to get to where they're going. And the more you keep fighting and actually going towards a goal, it's like,
Yeah.
a movie sucks when it's just like, it's over.
Yeah. Or the guy just wins right away and it's
Yeah.
over. You know what I mean? That would be nice though. Like I would like to just win immediately. But no, there's always adversity. You always have to go through stuff. You always have to like, I talk to people all the time, man. Oh, my car got, repossessed, or my, freaking bills can't pay 'em, broken arm. You know what I mean? Like there's constant things that are just going to get in your way. And, I think I feel like I'm really good at this. Like the second that I get injured, and like I had like that hernia surgery, I just pivot right away to like business stuff. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get the handbook
Yeah.
done. I'm gonna get this done. I'm gonna get that done, and like I'm gonna work on the summit. And like I just turn right away. Like when I'm traveling, like I just on the plane. All right, let me get my work done. I just start sinking my head into stuff, and it's like that's kind of my way of like pushing that forward and like really being like, okay, I'm just gonna freaking put into this and see what the heck happens, and you doing that and then giving all these people opportunities, man, has been really huge to tell, their story. And like I think it helps them just get off their chest what they went through
Yeah.
as a kid or adult or whatever, or the different things that made it hard for them to get to where you're going. I think you were really good at it, man. And like maybe you just bring them back every now and then. Maybe you just do like a Tucker Carlson thing. You only interview Putin every now and then.
I don't
You know what I mean?
like it's tough for me. I've done so many different things. I started as a clothing company, and then when it wasn't working, I pivoted and started podcasting. And podcasting was to promote the clothing, and then and then from the podcasting, I got into doing food, and then from the food now. it's going into a restaurant. So like I've known enough that I'm never going to stop doing this. And, even like when I was showing you that farmhouse, I'm like, man, I bet you I could put a podcast studio in that garage.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And like,
I know.
So I don't ever stop thinking about it. And I don't think I'll like, to me, like I've had a long thought with myself because it's bittersweet leaving here, and I have to because they're turning it into a bakery. But it would be a waste of all of my time if I wouldn't take the fact that I'm comfortable on camera to get into doing a cooking show. Or like I don't do any of this other than I like doing it. So none of it is monetary. Obviously I make money because I have to pay my bills, but like, that would be like as if you just stopped teaching and stopped working in martial arts because you were going down a different avenue. It should always be applied into what you're doing. So like, I think the show's going to change. I think it's going to turn into less with bigger episodes. And like, if I can use the restaurant in order to get, a more popular person on the show, and then like do something a little bit more like, it's probably, in my opinion, it'll probably go and it'll end up being very similar to Fuck That's Delicious.
Yeah, it's a different approach, man, and I think you're going to kill it. And I think a lot of people haven't seen that around here, besides if they even watch Action Bronson. But all the people who follow you are going to be like, wow, that's really cool. It's outside the box. It's different.
I mean, anyone who knows me from the beginning, I've been talking about what this show is going to turn into since I started this show.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? I've always been like, oh, we should take it on the road. Like, I always saw better value outside of the basement. Like, I was like, man, if like how we talked about going to food spots and all that, like sitting here and talking about doing that is one thing. But if we had the media and when it's so like what it becomes is what it was supposed to be before this. And this was the way to get there.
Exactly. Look at that, dude. The path leads back to where we
Let's
all
close
started.
this out.
Let's
I'm fucking
do it.
Sweating. It's an hour and 30.
Oh, damn, hour and 30. Nice. Yeah, I want to go pick up some salt and vinegar chips or something like that. But no, I got mad work to do. But yeah, thanks for always having me on, man. I appreciate it. And this isn't like
We'll do this show until I have to move. I'm out of here June 1st. So.
Oh, okay. So we got time.
Yeah.
We'll keep ripping it. You know me, I'm always down to promote stuff, plug it, talk about things. Maybe we'll even jump someone else in here every now and then. But,
yeah, if you even have somebody you want to bring in to sit here, I don't give a fuck about running the switcher.
All right, sweet. Yeah, I was my first
Because I'm just putting
ever.
these up as like my episodes and putting my sponsors on them and shit.
Nice. Yeah, it was cool. First time ever running a switcher. Look
It's
at me.
easy. It's
switcher.
Yeah. It was a game changer. I used to have to
that
fucking
thing is
edit
sick.
all this stuff.
Yeah, we do. Ross has one of these kind of things for
The
when
events.
we're doing the event. Yeah, and he can switch back and forth. But all this, man, there's a lot of different. Someone probably just that's their job is to just.
I don't even know what half that shit is.
Yeah, but think about that. That's someone's job to just sit there and like as a game is going on is just or in UFC.
You get paid a lot of money to do that.
Because like in UFC. Eddie Bravo would always talk about how the guy would screw up and like not click it at the right time, and they would miss an angle of the submission.
Yeah, there's usually a trailer, and then like what's crazy is that thing there is like replacing like $30,000 to $40,000 worth of equipment. When I got that, it was during the pandemic, and it was very hard to get a hold of the Black Magic switcher. But yeah, that's that's basically like replacing a fucking truck.
Yeah.
Like, when they talk with the UFC where they're in like Rogan's ears and all that shit, there's usually a trailer that's set up and there's someone controlling all that. It's like I have a lot of friends that like do that for a living.
Yeah, that's what
make a lot of fucking money doing that.
That's what Eddie Bravo used to sit in the truck at UFC, and he would break down the grappling parts, and he would tell them like, "Yo, put this up," and put that as the replay or whatever. So
It's smart.
Yeah, interesting. But yeah, thank you guys so much, man. This will be out next week or something, so it'll be after the grand opening. But believe me, I don't need any more people to come. It's probably going to be crazy. But thank you guys always for all the support. Just check everything out, finishersmma.com, or you could just get me on Instagram. Check the bio. But
I'm gonna edit it tomorrow. I don't got shit to do tomorrow, so when I get out of work, I'll probably start loading this into the computer, and then I'll just bang the edit out and put it up, and then I'll send it to you, and then we'll send it over to Sean if he wants to clip shit.
Nice. Hell yeah. That's how we do it, baby. The whole team working together. Thank you guys so much. And you are listening to Never Again Radio.
I believe it.
Never Again Radio. Get into it, brother.